Good afternoon, guys, and welcome to my channel. This is Nick, and you're tuned into OptimaPS. Hopefully, that's because you come across me on social media platform X, or Twitter as I sometimes still call it, or perhaps one of the algorithms have driven you here, or maybe you've come across me on a different form of social media. Whatever the reason, thank you very much for landing on the channel. I hope I can keep your attention for a short space of time. Really, this is just an introduction to myself. I've become a little bit more prominent, if you like, on social media platform X, and people starting to pay attention to what I say, and I figured this would work as a better introduction than a long-winded bio. And what's more, it gives me a chance to actually express in words who I am, how I think I can help, and bring a few things to the table, perhaps to the community that we don't currently have. So normally at this point, you guys, on the videos I watch and enjoy at least, people will start with a disclaimer that explains they're not financial advisors, and you shouldn't take anything they say or do during this video as financial advice. Well, the second part is certainly accurate. You really shouldn't take anything I say or do as financial advice. The first part, not quite so much. I am technically a financial advisor, although probably not in the jurisdiction where you are based. And so it's exactly the same. Anything I say or do shouldn't be taken as financial advice. And in fact, you know, as a financial advisor, trust me when I say, if I were to give you financial advice, you would know about it this day and age. There's so many forms and signatures and disclaimers to be signed that you couldn't possibly be unaware that I was giving you financial advice. So where we are right now is I just wanted to do that, to introduce myself a little bit so that people know a bit more about who I am, and really to tell you how I arrived in this space. So the sort of sector that I enjoy the most when it comes to social media is cryptocurrency. It's something I have an avid interest in myself, and it's something a lot of my friends and colleagues and people I know around the world are interested in as well. It's the emerging portion of the financial sector, right? But what brought me here personally was I actually came along probably at the back end of 2018. I was directed here by clients who'd heard all the hot air about this new thing called Bitcoin. They were asking me what it was it suitable for them to invest into, should they put their whole mortgage on it or just buy a few dollars worth. And the honest answer at the time is very similar to now. It's impossible for me to really give honest financial advice, accurate financial advice, regulated financial advice for certain, because it's not a regulated sector. So I'm not allowed to give financial advice on cryptocurrency any more than I am on gambling in a backstreet casino. The reverse of that, I guess, or the slight difference now is that since the launch of the Bitcoin ETFs, I could include a Bitcoin ETF in a client's portfolio. So far I've not done, but that's more about a timing issue as opposed to whether I think the Bitcoin ETFs will make any money, but that's a conversation for a different day. So going back to 2018, when Bitcoin had been the flash in the pan, it had gone up, it was on its way back down again. People were asking me all about, what's this new thing, Bitcoin, is it something to look into? And so I went away and I did a real big deep dive. And that's not unusual for me. Over the space of a year, I'll probably look into 100 different stocks, mutual funds, ETFs, managed portfolios, corporate bonds, government bonds on behalf of clients. I'll go and do the research and come back with an honest opinion. As I say, with the crypto world, it was always just that, an honest opinion as opposed to true financial advice, because I wasn't allowed. There was no way I could back up any financial advice. The market's just too immature for that. But I went off and did a look into it, and really, with a slightly bigoted view, I expected that I would come back to my clients and say something along the lines of, I've looked into it, this really isn't for you. It's too volatile. It goes up and down like a yo-yo. There's too much manipulation in the markets. There's no real regulation that stops the big hedge funds from completely and utterly pulling the rug on people in those markets. So it's just too volatile, too much of a risk for you guys at your stage of investment life. I don't recommend you do it. Now, for the main part, that is what I came back and said. To be entirely honest, for my particular clients, most are at the end of their financial journey now. Most are looking to preserve what they've accumulated over the years, and it's a case of wealth management. How do I get the best return out of this money without taking much risk? And so crypto really isn't the answer there. But in the same respect, I did find one or two areas that I just couldn't overlook that caught my attention. I said, well, wow, these guys are really onto something. And I know some of you will already know my story from Twitter. I have one or two pet projects that I prefer over the others. I think we all do in crypto, but mine are definitely the utility-based investments with a particular fondness of XRP. And that's because I looked at the business model from the company down before I looked at the coin, and I don't see many reasons to think that this company isn't going places. Ripple as a company, they've got it right from the ground up. They've got it right in terms of the solution. So they're looking at a problem that truly is a global problem. They're trying to find a solution, or they found a solution to a certain degree. And then they're getting it right from the arrangements point of view. They're getting it right from the point of view of the staff they are hiring in recruitment. They're picking up the best in class, if you like, of everyone they need to form a seriously competitive company. Now, that isn't a conversation about the validity of XRP, but I just can't see a world where any company would launch XRP and still hold billions to the tune of half the amount there are in global circulation without wanting that coin to at least be the formative part of their success. You know, I'm not saying that they definitely must use XRP on the ledger. That's not true. They could run any coin they like through that ledger. I'm not saying that they will only allow XRP to be the single coin available on there, but it doesn't make sense to me that anyone would create a coin that works perfectly on their platform, that anyone would hold that coin to the point of 50% of the circulating supply and not want that coin to become a prominent part, at least, of what they do. And let's not forget that all the owners, if you like, the major players at Ripple, they own an awful lot of XRP, so why would they not want it to be a valuable asset? But let's go back to the actual story. So the real reason this appeals to me the most is, from what I do, it's something I come across every single day. So I'm an international financial advisor, which means I work outside of my home jurisdiction. I used to work in the UK, and then I moved out to Asia back in 2007. I've operated now in 5 countries since 2007. I find myself now living in the Philippines, where that's purely from a residential point of view. I do have a work permit and things like that. I'm married to a Filipina, so I'm allowed to work here, but I just tend to do all my work outside of the Philippines. All my clients are based away from here. I don't have any clients here directly. And I find myself working mainly now on Zoom or flying in and out to see clients in their home country. But what that means is I've got clients from multinational places, so, you know, you name it, I'm likely to have a client there. And I also have clients living in multi-jurisdictional places as well. So it may be that one of my clients is an Australian guy living in Germany. It may be that one of my clients is a British guy living in Spain. You know, there's people that move around, and I continue to look after their finances, and so their needs change. And one thing that's been pretty constant since the beginning is the need for cross-border transactions. With myself, with my clients, with everyone I deal with everyone I come across, almost all of my social and my business circle are people that live outside of their home countries. So this is a problem we come across every single day. Without fail, every single day I'm waiting for either my own or a client's cross-border transactional payment to land in the designated bank account. And so I'll give you an example. I live in the Philippines, but I don't do any work here, so I'm not paid in pesos. But of course, all the money I have to spend here is in pesos. I don't own my property, so I pay rent. I own properties around the world, but not this one that I live in here. I have to run my car. I have to put my kids through school. I have to do my grocery shopping. I require large sums of money in pesos, and I don't get paid in pesos. And so I'll transfer money to myself from my own bank in the UK, and that will be normally on a quarterly basis or something like that. I'll send myself, let's say for the sake of argument, to keep it simple on the maths, £10,000, which will come from the UK to my bank here in the Philippines, so that I can go on to the ATM, take the cash out, and pay my bills, buy my groceries, go out for beer, do whatever I like to do. And so, from a very simplistic point of view, I log on to my bank in the UK, I press send £10,000 to my bank in the Philippines, and I press go. And in a few days' time, that money ought to land in my other bank account. And it seems pretty straightforward, but actually it's not straightforward at all. So the way that all these transactions have worked for as long as I've been in the sector and as long as I've been an expatriate living abroad, and the way they've worked since international banking began, really, is very archaic by today's standards. SWIFT is still the main player there, especially when it comes to personal finance, like we deal with every day. And SWIFT is a very old-fashioned company. Believe it or not, most of what they do relies on fax system. A physical fax is sent from one bank to another as a messaging system to tell them where to allocate money from various different accounts. So the physical money isn't sent via SWIFT. I think most of us who are into XRP understand that now. But historically people perhaps didn't. But the message that tells which banks to debit from someone's account and credit to a different account is sent via SWIFT, and those messages can take time. On a good day, I'll send my money and it will land in my other bank 5 days later. That's if everything goes incredibly smoothly. Normally it's about 7 to 10. And even that represents a smooth transaction with no problems. So what would happen in my case is my pounds, £10,000 would be sent to my bank in the Philippines, but that's what we call an exotic FX transaction. Exotic basically means rare. It means not common enough for the banks to do this on a daily basis, not common enough for the banks to do it directly at all. So in fact what would happen is my pounds would most likely be sent to an intermediary bank who specialise in exchange, and they would then transfer my pounds not to pesos because that's not a common transaction, but they'd do it to US dollar. They'd then send the US dollar over to the Philippines, where it would land with a secondary intermediary bank who would accept the US dollars because my bank in the Philippines only accept pesos, and this bank would accept the US dollars because they wouldn't have accepted the pounds, and they take the US dollars and they'll convert those to Philippine pesos and then forward the pesos onto my bank here in the Philippines so that I get the notification it's landed and I can go along and pay my bills. That's if it goes really smoothly. Each stage of that process can take 4 or 5 days, so it might be 15 working days before the money lands. It is normally a bit faster now. It's normally about 5 days, maybe 7 or 8 on a bad run. But not always do things go smoothly. In fact, if I'm looking at 100, 200 transactions a year, at least 5 to 10 will be problematic. Sometimes a lot more than that in actual fact. And when I say problematic, we don't always run the risk of losing money anymore. Where say we, I mean the banks. Historically, it might have happened. Somebody might have sent money somewhere, and it's just dropped off the face of the earth. Even then, I don't think the sender would lose the money directly. Basically, the bank is at fault because the sender has sent it correctly. And ordinarily, it would be traced by the bank, found, and sent back, or the bank's insurance would kick in and cover that difference. Today, the tracking, the tracing is an awful lot better. So we very, very, in fact, in my time, I've never known anyone lose any money. But I have known money to float around in cyberspace, bouncing around and go back, and there be a problem. So as a great example, again, I could send my money from the UK, goes UK to intermediary, gets changed from pound to dollar. The dollars are sent to the Philippines. They land with the intermediary in the Philippines who picks up the dollar. They send it to pesos to my bank. It lands with my bank, and my bank go, oh, we're sorry. Could be any one of 1,000 reasons. The SWIFT code is incorrect. Could be that somebody's misspelt my name, or a digit on my account number is wrong. If there's any tiny inconsistency there, that no one gets a phone call, a common sense phone call to say, by the way, this says it's coming to Nicholas E. Preston. This says it's going to Jonathan D. Smith. This says it's going to Paul C. Jones. Is your surname definitely spelt this way? Is your initial definitely this one? No, they just send it back. And so it goes back by the exact same reversal of that process. So the pesos go back from my bank, even though it's sat at my bank so close to my account, it instead gets sent back to the intermediary, converted to dollars. The dollars sent to the corresponding intermediary, converted into pounds. The pounds sent back to my bank. That could be another 15 days later, so it could be a whole month without this money. And then my money lands back in my bank minus the fees and expenses incurred. And those fees and expenses are often more than you think. The normal TT fee is about 25-30 quid. Not too terrible if that's all you pay, but of course there's a foreign exchange spread applied when you do the foreign exchange, and that's not from start to finish. So, well, it is from start to finish, but not as one fee. So the pounds going to the dollars going to the pesos would incur an FX, and the pesos going back to dollars and the dollars going back to pounds would also incur an FX, because those intermediary banks aren't responsible for any of this, and they of course have to pay their fees associated with the FX. So what might happen is I send myself £10,000 and a month later £9,600 lands back in my bank. And they go, here's your money back. Aren't we good for not losing it for you after a whole month? And I have to then go, well, one, I've lost £400, two, I've lost an entire month, and three, the purpose of this transaction is still there. It's still necessary. I still need money in my bank account in the Philippines. So please send it all back again. Let's start the process again, and my pounds go to dollar, go to peso, go to the bank account over here. Hopefully this time we've corrected the mistake and the money lands back in my bank, but I'm still £400 down. It might not be 400, it might be 100, it might be 1,000. It depends on the size of the transaction, depends on how many points there are in between. Maybe you're really lucky and it's only one foreign exchange applied. But whatever happens, it's incredibly inconvenient, and it's a damn sight more expensive than it should be. Now, if somebody tells me that Swift are going to fix that, that Ripple are going to fix that, I'm all in favour of this. So it's a case of me going, I get the project, I understand what it's for, I understand how it can help. I'm talking about me doing a personal transaction, but I send, at any given time in a month, I can normally have $1 million somewhere in the air on behalf of clients. Maybe that's 10 clients, maybe it's just one, maybe it's $10 million one month, maybe it's only £10,000 another month, but there's always money on international transfers flying around, and I'm a very, very, very small keg in a very, 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 very big mechanism. On a daily basis, there must be trillions, if not quadrillions of dollars floating around. And so I get how this is important, and I get how anyone who can improve this system phenomenally, like Ripple claim to do, or like Ripple are doing, are going to make a significant amount of money. And if XRP is the currency that is predominantly used for this purpose, I'm pretty damn confident my XRP is going to be worth more money in the future than it is today. I'm not one of these guys that's going to give you an accurate, let's say, price target. I'm not going to say I think it will be this. I will say I'm excited about the price, but it's such a open-ended question. How long's a piece of string, right? It's something that it depends entirely on the level of adoption. It depends entirely on first off, the retail adoption. We're just about to go into a bull run now. If everyone in the world decides they want a piece of the XRP pie, it's going to go up in value. If everyone decides they've had enough of this because it's been such a long time, it's not going to go up in value. It will go up a little bit, but it's not going to go up to the prices we expect. I think if you look at the experts that know what they're talking about between $5 to $50. Some people are more excited than that, I think more like 500. I think the big numbers like the $500 plus are going to be determined by when utility kicks in. To use that phrase we all love, when the switch is flipped. It's such a difficult question to try to answer, but one thing for certain is when you live in the world of investments, any level of return is a positive. Yes, okay, if I make 2% this year and I could have made 2,000% in a meme coin, then it's not as positive as if I'd bought the meme coin. But the simple fact of the matter is meme coin money is for gambling. This is something I've used as a long-term investment. And so I'm in a position where I've put money in that I'm quite comfortable being there for a long time. Like everybody out there, I'd much rather it be worth more money sooner rather than later. But it's something that I'm incredibly confident will eventually prove to be a very, very worthwhile investment. And I'm happy to wait. Hopefully, this bull run will take care of all that. But I'm happy to wait if not. We'll have another conversation about whether I sell at the top and buy back in at the bottom. That's one I'm still not 100% certain on myself. But realistically, today was more about just telling you who I am, why I'm here, what my thought process is. It's therapeutic for me, to be honest with you. I love talking to people. I don't do this side of my job so much anymore. My clients that I look after have been with me a long time now, so no one needs to learn about me. I don't get to go out and do any presentations anymore, or very, very rarely, and I enjoy it. So it's something that I will happily do as long as people are enjoying the content. So if you do like what I'm saying, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe, even if it's just to see what the next 5 or 6 videos are. It might be that you wanna hear the next 5 or 6 before you make a decision. Hey, you can always ditch me afterwards, right? It's completely your choice. So I'd love it if you could like and subscribe to the video, just so you can see what I've got to say over the next maybe 5 to 10 videos. And then please do leave me some comments. Please tell me what you think. If there's anything you'd like me to discuss. Like I say, I do come from a slightly different background to other people in the sector, and it might just be that I have a different opinion, or not necessarily an alternative opinion, but a opinion from a different side of the table, that brings a little bit more to your knowledge bank, and helps everyone out accordingly. So that's what I'm here to do. I'd love to help everybody if we possibly can, and likewise I appreciate the help I get back. So I'll leave that with you for now. Thank you very much for listening, and from here I'd love to speak to you again soon. Thanks very much and have a great day.